and some golf. At certain points, I got really confused.
This is Roger Willett, and I'm the videographer, and it's November 9th of 2012 on a Friday. We're at Bristol Community College Therapeutic Massage Clinic, and Sharon Tilton is the instructor with Robert Tatro, and off in the corner is Paula Buzzell, and we're going to go through range of motion at this time.
And I'm going to be Sharon, and this is going to be Bobby. Okay, so let's start with the shoulder. Okay, so the shoulder, and I always tell people try to remember in order. It just makes it a lot easier when you're learning it. So going into shoulder, you're always going to be supporting, from below the joint and above the joint. You never want to just, take somebody by the thumb or something. So you're going to do shoulder flexion, so the sagittal plane is straight, and shoulder extension coming all the way down, always guiding both ways and using good mechanics. Shoulder flexion and shoulder extension. The shoulder also abducts, and what I usually do is I just externally rotate at 90 to bring it all the way up to 180 degrees, which is considered normal, and adducts. Again, shoulder abductions in the frontal plane. You all right? Yes. And adduction. Okay, if you bring the shoulder back to 90 degrees of abduction and now bend the elbow, you can actually externally rotate the shoulder and internally rotate the shoulder. External rotation and internal rotation back down. You just want to keep rolling, or do you want to stop at each?
I have a question. Can you see her?
It is a duet at that part. We just learned that.
Is this going to be in your way?
No. We're rolling.
We're rolling?
No.
It is in your way.
It is in my way. Go ahead.
Go? Okay. So I'm going to be Sharon. He's going to be Bobby. And we're just going to demonstrate range of motion, starting with the shoulder. Okay? So always, being supportive above and below the joint. You're not just going to hold your thumb. So it's shoulder flexion. And all the way down, shoulder extension, guiding both ways, using good mechanics, shoulder flexion, and shoulder extension. Okay, the shoulder, that's the sagittal plane. The shoulder, not soldier, the shoulder, also abducts, and I'm going to externally rotate it at 90, just to clear, and adducts all the way down. Again, it abducts, abduction, and adduction. If you bring it into 90 degrees of abduction and now bend the shoulder, you can externally rotate the shoulder and internally rotate the shoulder. So this is shoulder external rotation and shoulder internal rotation. The shoulder also, just so that you know, horizontally abducts, which is bringing it over and all the way out. Okay? Going on to the elbow. The elbow, if you just bring it out a little bit from the body and palm up, you can have elbow flexion and elbow extension. Elbow flexion, elbow extension. I bring it into 90 degrees, just for, usually because I'm always usually measuring to the other side. It's pronation is palm down, and supination is palm up. Pronation and supination. Okay, we can go on to the wrist. See, the wrist flexion, and then coming back is wrist extension, wrist flexion, wrist extension, and the wrist ulna deviates, which is to the pinky side, ulna deviation and radial deviation. Ulna deviation and radial deviation. Good? Want to go on to the hip?
Yep, please.
Okay. The hip. So, the hip. Hip flexion. And so that you know, we're also got knee extension here, but we're just going to concentrate on the hip. Hip flexion, hip extension. You're pulling the knee up, slide your hand to the side, okay? Hip flexion. Bobby, oh my goodness. Drop the hand under the knee, extension. It also abducts and adducts. Abduction and adduction. Okay? To rotate the hip, you can bring it up into 90 degrees of hip flexion. God, I want to release this hip right now. And it externally rotates, femur, by what the femur's doing, external rotation, and it also internally rotates. Oh, Bobby.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a little tight. And all the way down. Okay? The knee, you're right. The knee typically, I do this in prone so you can flex it and extend it, but in supine, I just have them slide their heel up to do knee flexion and knee extension. Okay? But if you were going to test knee flexion, you want to do it in prone. That way you can actually see the length of the quad, so on and so forth. Ankle. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So if you think about the ankle, dorsiflexion doesn't happen until the foot is at neutral. So you get to the foot to neutral, and then you can dorsiflex it. It's usually about 10 to 15 degrees, and plantar flex it. Dorsiflexion. Stretching you, aren't I? And plantar flexion. If you bring it up, you can invert the foot by keeping the foot at neutral but turning it in, invert, and evert. Inversion and eversion. Did I do plantar flexion? Dorsiflexion, and I did plantar flexion. You didn't feel like I did that. Okay. I'll do the neck.
Well, he stopped it.
Hold on.
Gather, he has terrible hamstrings.
Okay.
Hamstrings? Yes.
Oh my god.
That's a good gather.
I haven't. I can just feel it without even feeling it. That feel better?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so dorsiflexion and plantar flexion?
Yeah,
I
and
see what
mainly
he's
the
doing.
thing with the hands,
Okay, so what you do is you take your, if you're standing, with
Yeah.
the foot in front of you, you take your right hand and you put it under the Achilles tendon, and Bobby can tell you, I actually pull a little bit.
Okay.
I distract it a tiny bit, and then I put his forefoot on my forearm, and I now lean in. Because remember, it's only from 90 degrees up, that's the range, so you need a little muscle to get it up.
that get it, so.
So that's dorsiflexion, and then by just dropping your opposite hand, you can plantar flex. If you bring it to neutral again, this way, you can invert it and evert it. Invert it and evert it. Okay? Let's just show knee flexion, and I'll do neck. So,
Okay.
straighten them out first. I know. Okay, so you can range the knee in prone, which gives you a better idea of the length of the quadricep and also the strength of the hamstring. But if I'm just going to do it passive, you can bring the heel all the way up, and 120 is about normal, so this is clearly over that. He's actually getting a stretch, aren't you?
So he's doing well this way.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
This way.
This way, yeah. It's the hamstrings that are probably the issue.
Yeah.
Okay? And now, if you want. Okay?
Yes.
All right, so the
I'm gonna
neck,
get this going.
the neck also flexes and it extends, and you can actually hyperextend it a little bit. Okay? It laterally flexes. Here's a nice range here. And we have cervical rotation. So come on, give me a chance.
Is
Alright.
that it? No.
That's it.
That's the whole body.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you've got
No,
that's all right.
Okay, so I'm still gonna be Sharon, and you're still gonna be Bobby. All right, so trunk flexion. So you're gonna just bend straight down with your And I always tell people to drop their chin. He's like, ow, yeah, because you're just a mess. Trunk flexion, come up. Extension is bringing it back to normal. And you can also hyperextend if you put your hands, and come back straight. And then lateral flexion is you drop your hands by your side all the way down, and you want to make sure the person stays in that frontal plane. And then if you wanted to measure, you'd go middle finger to the floor, and then come back up, and then the other way, straight down. Again, middle finger to the floor, come up. And I usually tell people just to raise their arms, and it's rotation, and you're just comparing one side to the other. Yep, and you can look with your, and then the other way. Good, and come straight. Yay.
You
All
couldn't
done.
go down that far on that side. I noticed you went way down.